Jai Shri Ram. This is a GRE AVA Analytical Writing Assessment Argument Prompt. The word argument means an opinion. In the GRE AVA, there are two writing tasks. The first task is called the issue task, where you have an essay writing topic and you have to write on that for 30 minutes. So the second writing task is this argument task, where something like this will come up and you'll have to write an essay. You are given 30 minutes and 6 grade points are on the offer. So if you can write well, like I tell you to, you should easily get 4 and perhaps even 5. So what is your task in an argument? Examine what is the evidence that will confirm the findings, confirm the conclusions, support the recommendation or conclusion, and also mention what evidence, if unearthed tomorrow, what evidence in case if unearthed or discovered, would actually weaken the argument. So these are the general instructions that are given for every argument. Now let us quickly take a look at this. 1 month ago, all the showerheads of the first 5 floors of the Sunnyside Towers were modified to restrict the water flow to approximately 1/3 of its original force. 1 month ago, they modified and restricted the water flow to 1/3 of the original force. Okay. Although actual readings of water usage before and after the adjustment are not yet available, the change will obviously result in a considerable saving. It will result in considerable savings for the Sunnyside Corporation, since the corporation must pay for water each month. Okay. So that is what he is assuming. He is assuming that it will result in savings. Now, except for a few complaints, okay, this is evidence he is giving about low water pressure, no problems with showers have been reported since the adjustment. So hardly anybody is complaining. Clearly, restricting water flow throughout all the 20 floors of the Sunnyside Towers will increase our profits further. So here is a recommendation and also an assumption. Now let us tear this whole thing apart. So if you look at the first sentence, straight away, 1 month ago I underlined. Why? Because our objection would be, it is only 1 month has passed since this modification has been introduced, and that perhaps is not sufficient time to observe whether the modification or change is positive or negative. In other words, we will have to give it some more time to study how people react to this. So within 1 month, we can't jump to extreme conclusions. So that's point number 1. And he said the first 5 floors. Now what if the first 5 floors are occupied by offices, in which case nobody is going to take a shower bath. So they won't naturally complain. So we need to know who are the occupants of the first 5 floors of the Sunnyside Towers. In case if it is true that it is offices and therefore they are not complaining, the whole argument collapses. And the rest of the 15, if they are all occupied by residents with large families, then they would all take showers and then there will be a lot of problem. Currently they may not be complaining for the simple reason because they are probably on a vacation. So we need to know whether all the occupants of the building are in-house. So what is the exact occupancy of the building? That's the next evidence. So if the evidence is otherwise, that means if the evidence is that the first 5 floors also contain occupants, that is residents, families, and not offices, then perhaps there is some truth in what the speaker is saying. The one more paragraph, you should always talk about competitors. How are the competitors of Sunnyside Towers? There must be other towers in the vicinity or in the city. Are they also resorting to something like this? And are they facing problems? In case if they are facing problems, you better watch out. So you will write 1 paragraph on that. Now, actual readings of water are absolutely essential for this entire argument, because the whole argument is premised on the assumption that saving of water will lead to increased profits. And therefore, that is not a big deal. The readings must be available on the meter. So the speaker cannot try to avoid giving that data. So that is 1 more paragraph. Next, considerable savings. Now, is water so expensive is the next question. Is this in some kind of a desert area like maybe Sahara Desert in Saudi Arabia, where water is so expensive that gasoline or petrol is much cheaper? So we need to know how much water costs. And next, now without the readings there is actually a possibility here. Though the force has reduced, people might have kept the taps open for a long period of time, in which case maybe they neglected to close it down. In other words, though the force has been reduced, the water consumption may have actually increased. Therefore, without readings, there is no sense in going further with this entire discussion. So, what else? I think we have raised all objections which have to be addressed. So, the speaker has to answer all these questions before we accept his conclusion or his recommendation as valid. So your introduction will be the speaker's recommendation that all the 20 floors of Sunnyside Towers can be subjected to this kind of a restriction of water flow, and the speaker assumes that it will increase profits. Full stop. However, the evidence given is very sketchy, and therefore the argument is unpersuasive. Unpersuasive means unconvincing. Persuasive means convincing. So the second paragraph you will start with. First of all, the speaker says that it was only 1 month ago that they introduced this modification or that restriction. And within 1 month, it is hard to imagine how the complete impact of such a change can be known. Therefore, sufficient time must be allowed. Second paragraph, you will say a few more things. Write small paragraphs. Second paragraph, you will say, secondly, the speaker says that the actual readings are not available, but it is hard to imagine why it is so difficult to get the readings. And also, without readings, this entire argument cannot proceed to any reasonable conclusion. Big full stop. It is perfectly possible that the flow may have been restricted, but the consumption of water may have increased because people may have kept the taps open for a longer period of time. The speaker conveniently ignores this possibility. Third paragraph, you will say, thirdly, the speaker says there will be considerable savings, but he does not tell us how there can be considerable savings for a Sunnyside Towers, which is a real estate operation, and common sense tells me that in real estate, it is the infrastructure, the cost of land, and the city in which it is situated. All these things contribute to profits, but mere water consumption may not. Therefore, the speaker has to justify why he says so. Then blah blah blah, all that I said. Conclusion as usual. In sum, this argument would have been more convincing if the speaker had given information about blah blah, comma blah blah, comma blah blah, comma blah blah. Full stop. In the absence of all the above information, the speaker's argument as it stands is unconvincing. Jai Shri Ram.